Yeah, I think it's if we all could do this, tell where life began for us in Waterhouse and as Gawks. Well, here's my story. My parents moved to Waterhouse in 1963 in the middle of Flora, and they registered me in Balmoji Primary School because I'd never been to a government school before. At that age of 9, 10, all I did was attend private school. Another story, my father claimed no one to send me to a public school. But anyway, I'm not registered in Balmoji School and they put me in junior 3Z. They didn't really have a 3Z, but whatever the high or the lowest 3 was, that's what they put me based on your age at that time. Then after 3 months in that class, they did an assessment test, and I was moved up to 3B, I think, or 3A. I don't remember which one it was. However, in that class, I had there were there was Patricia McCarthy, Harold Harper, Rupert Anna, George Lee. Well, those guys were part of my humble beginning. They are not really relevant to this Gawk story, but then there was Lester Longman, Anthony Smith. Lester was known as Baller. Most of you don't know this, but Lester was so good at that age of 9 and 10 years old that he was called Baller, which I later found out that Ronald Aiden, Utah Blade, was the one that gave him the name. And Ronald said he was such a skillful little boy that he had to give him the name Baller at the time. So anyway, while I was there, these guys, I grew close to Tonza Smith and Leslie at that time. And you never see one without the other. It was me and Tony or me and Leslie, but mostly me and Leslie. So we started hanging out, and Mr. Leslie father, Baranda. At the time I lived all the way up Penwood Road, most of you know that. My address was 116 Penwood Road at the time. So anyway, look, I used to walk come down the road every day, right? Every day, school or not, walk come down the road. So most people thought I lived on the Island Road, which is Antigua, Grenada, Trinidad, one of them road there. So anyway, later on, Winston Bailey came across, made friends with Winston, or I made friends with Winston because he was already friends with Leslie and the Longman them. So he came across and set up this little board. It wasn't, we call it a board, a table tennis board, but it was really an old gate. You remember them days if you go around to the back of the yard, them used to have a little board gate you have to open before you can go in the back of the yard. Well, one did up on the ground, and Winston set it up, and he was a 2x4 as the net, and 2 piece of board as racket, and him start teach us a ping pong over the net and teach us the rules. I remember one of them was one log trip, which you lose a point, you come out for the board and next man come. Or if you win the point, then you become the king and you reign until somebody get that point and take you off for the board. So anyway, I learned to do my little ping over, based on Winston's teaching. Then after that, we met some other guys. We met like Bunch and Newton Letty. Son boy must not have been around at the time, but he came a little bit later, or maybe he was hanging out somewhere else. But I remember we got on by Newton's house, and Newton had a table tennis board in his yard, and we were playing, and now I realized my little ping pong thing wasn't even good enough because Newton was way advanced at the time more than any one of us, you know. But what I do remember though, Letty will endorse that, a few man will endorse that. Out of all my friends, them, all my peers, I was the fastest little youth on the road. Could I give them on the jump and run past them the way I was speedy at the time. And if a new guy came into the neighborhood, they would bring him to me, and I was the marker as far as speed, was concerned. But I remember one night when Arias long man, and Arias beat me. And these years after I figured out why Arias beat me now. Because without warming up, I just get up and jump around with him cool, and then I felt a pain, almost in my groin. And it slowed me up. But I didn't realize that it was because of that why he was beating me. And everybody think him just faster than me. But no, I can tell you that that was the reason. And that pain was there for years and years, But some of the real fast guys who came out who were faster than me, Cranky was one of them, man, there. And then he had Paji, who genuinely beat me, and TC, but by that time I'd gotten older, and them little youth come and sprint like a deer. Anyway, we as youth we play a lot of sports. One of the things is that I play some football. I wasn't good at football, but nevertheless I played. I wasn't skillful, but again, this can be endorsed by Rudo. I learned to kick the ball hard. Could I kick it hard from, a spot kick? Because I say if I don't have the skill, I might as well learn to kick this ball hard. Owen Ellis will tell you that as a youth, he thinks he was a big baller. I wasn't a big baller. I just could I do the basic little broken man and pass the ball and things like that. But I started playing that early before me developing a real skill, because it was a shots thing. And me, my knee knock, I've never noticed that I mean Margaret. So I ran the shots thing, so me stopped that from early. We play cricket on the road, so remember Letty, Bunch them, Newton them used to throw the ball very hard too, and you must catch it, the cricket ball. So them can develop them catching skill, But my cricket days end when I play some catchy show up on the road. And me learn to know a ball, you move forward and say no. And a man bowl a ball and I step forward and say no. And the ball lick on a stone and start come up at me. So I ease back and in my eye that lick me. So when that lick me in my eye, I just say, my cricket day is done. So anyway, I learn to play table tennis much better, During that time, and Cranky started pouring out because Cranky could have played, not so Cranky could have played. Cranky would have a ride. And we used to go play, so we probably get more advanced than anybody else in the GAUKS, between me and Cranky. Anyway, we all know that GAUKS, the name GAUKS came out of a fluke. And that fluke was Bunch and Newton over Balmagie School. And here Samuel called Carker, everybody know who Carker is. And I say, hey Carks. And the man is so silly that them say, you the man, no, Samuel called the man GAUKS. And them start calling everybody GAUKS. And we that know GAUKS. We as GAUKS make up all kind of things. We make up wax. We make up so much different things, right? So we say GAUKS. And 20 odd years after, we come up with a definition of GAUKS. As you all know, gentlemen always united, kindling, support. But one of my take, is that I always talk about this documentary. I think of different ways of putting this together, and this is just one idea I have. If every man can say something at the humble beginning, in as friends pan the corner become GAUKS. Now we have different corner. We hang out pan Antigua Road in front of Miss Longman, Mr. Longman. We hang out down a Bunchard, we hang out on Mr. Bailey, we hang out down a Letty, we hang out on Miss Walker, you know, just different places in a water house. And there's almost every yard we could have got in a water house. And this is how later on different men start stick with other man based on the common things that they have. Me and Cranky, I know, was swimming and table tennis, because we decided we can learn to swim. Harold Palmer, Frank, Cranky, and myself. EP and Frank dropped out, and me and Cranky became fairly good at it, where we numbed the fear for the water. You can probably stay in the deep, as deep as a light pole, all day, them time if you want, you know, get as good as probably Sonny Boy and Rudo at the time, who were the prominent swimmers at that time. And Dan one can swim too, you know. We later on, you know, we have a meet up, and when we mentioned Letty earlier, so we have Letty, who was, we consider him up to this day as a senior guard, so, you know, a little bit older than we. Respect him always. You know, well, that is one of the things. GAUKS always respect another GAUKS over the years. We have different man coming in. Well, this is just a little synopsis of what GAUKS is. You know, we have to complete the story so that we can get the documentary together. I'm going to tell you, we sit down, I'm going to think of different ways of getting this thing together. I think of even, say, for me personally, get, what is it? Not Conley, Kali, and say if Kali, you know, who's very versed with the camera, can make us start something as far as this documentary is concerned. But we need to have the history up there, as me always say. You know, this is just a little thing. So let me hear what I say about it. All right, this is my entry into Waterhouse and into my GAUKS family. All right.